Hi everyone, today's video is something a little bit different but something I would have found really useful. So this is about advocating for yourself in appointments. I'm very guilty of wanting people to like me, so I could have really done with knowing these tips going into having a chronic / life-limiting illness, because I see a lot of doctors and now I know what to expect, but the first time you're in that situation it's unlike anything you've been in before. So I thought I would give some tips about going to clinic and chatting to consultants and getting the most out of your appointment. First off, I would say do your research before you go. So if you're being investigated for a potential illness, I would use reliable sources such as the NHS website or charities and foundations in the name of that condition. So for instance, I've got POTS syndrome. I could have a look at POTS UK, and they provide some really helpful tips on not only how to get diagnosed, but a list you can print out and take with you to appointments to help you in that consultation. I am a massive nerd, so I tend to go way over and above on researching. So I read medical papers. I like to kind of feel that I'm on a more level playing field with my doctor than a doctor-patient relationship, and I'm very fortunate in that all of my consultants have taken really well to that at my current hospital. At a previous hospital, I had a really bad experience and the doctor kind of didn't want to hear it and thought I was a smart ass. So it really does depend on the consultant, and I think if a consultant is like that and they aren't willing to listen to you, you might want to consider if they're the doctor for you, because if they're not prepared to see you as educated on a subject that you're living, I don't know how helpful they would be, but that's just my personal opinion. Obviously, if this is your first appointment with somebody, you're going to have to read the room and just see what the consultant is like, and maybe gently introduce the fact that you're aware of things surrounding this condition or a term that they use, for instance. Gently assess their ego, which I think is quite a strange thing to say when it comes to medicine, but some consultants don't want to hear it, and it won't just be you. I think this is a really important thing to say. It's not just you or the way you present yourself that is their problem, and they need to get over it and try not to let it affect how you feel about yourself and your illness journey as you go ahead. They should be up for conversation. Another tip I have is write a list of absolutely everything that you want to say and get in there. My consultants know me really well now. I bring in my little notebook and they're like, right, what's next on the list, Hannah? We need to get through your whole list. I'm also really fortunate that if I do need 5 minutes more, say, in an appointment, that my consultants let me take that time because I'm multi-complex. I think owning the fact that this is your allotted time and you can discuss what you would like in the clinic. Yes, it's about assessments and referrals and things, but it's also important to have everything that you want to say written down and checked off, because appointments are like gold dust, especially with corona. But even normally you might see your consultant every 6 months or every 3 months, so it's important that you don't have anything niggling at the back of your head for the next 3 months and that you can start afresh at the next appointment. Saying all of this, I think it's really important to accept that you're not going to be able to learn everything, you don't know everything. That doctor in front of you, you know, they've trained many years of their life, so be open to the things that they're saying unless you feel they would be damaging to your health, and then perhaps consider getting a referral elsewhere. I think it's also a really good idea if any other professionals, any other consultants, nurses, GPs, physiotherapists, if they agree with your hypothesis of a certain illness or of a certain set of symptoms, if they've seen it and documented it or anything like that, I think it's important to tell your consultant that, because that is another source for them to see what you're saying. I think it helps part of your message coming from another professional in their mind. Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning if you do have experiences with other professionals. Perhaps you could put them in touch. I've found that really does help move things along. Another tip I have is bring someone with you. I had a really weird experience in Children's Hospital when I was transitioning into adult services, where they were like, in adults you aren't allowed to have your parents with you. And I was like, what? Does everyone go to their appointment alone? And actually in adults it's actively encouraged that you bring someone with you, not only for emotional support, to mention things that you might have forgotten, but also as a witness so you can discuss what happened afterwards. Because I've found when I've got big things going on, like diagnoses wise, I forget the little things that are mentioned. And yes, those things will come later in a letter, but sometimes a letter will take, 2, 4, 6 weeks to arrive, and it's important to have somebody to bounce off. Did they say this? Did they mean this? That kind of thing I've found is really essential. And yeah, a backup, somebody to go, actually no, this thing is happening, and answer her question please. Something I found out recently is that if you have processing or neurological problems, you can ask your consultant if it's okay if you record the meeting, just like on the voice notes app on your phone, just so that you can listen back to what was said and reflect and not miss vital bits of information. I've never tried this, but it sounds like a really good thing. One thing I have tried though is if you're diagnosed with something with a really complicated name and you wouldn't know how the heck to research it, just ask them to write that condition down on a sheet of paper for you, so that then when you're talking to your GP about the appointment afterwards, if you need to, you can spell it to them over the phone or give them the sheet of paper in person. But also from a research point of view, again, only use good sources. Don't use WebMD, it will make you think you're dying of a headache. So yeah, that's my opinion. A pen and paper, just bring a notebook to your appointment. And finally, I think it's important to say, if you don't understand what's going on or what's being said in the appointment, don't be polite and nod your head and leave. This is your appointment that you likely will have waited quite a lot of time for. You need to ask any questions that you have, because this is your life and it's 15 minutes of theirs, and any good doctor will want you to go out of that consultation feeling empowered, knowing what was said, understanding everything and next steps. And they won't think that you are silly for asking. I know I've asked in the past and I've said, I'm really sorry, I don't really understand XYZ. I felt really silly, like I should know that because I'm a patient, I don't know. But the consultant was rightfully really kind and went through things one more time. I think research is power. Don't do it to the extent that you're diagnosing yourself. I think that's really important to say. But if you have a diagnosis, or if a professional is fairly convinced that you have a certain condition, I think it's essential that you research it for yourself. I have had a few times now when a consultant has been scratching their head and they probably would have come to the same conclusion, but I've gone, can we try this thing please? And they've gone, yeah, let's do it. And again, I know that eventually they would have come to that conclusion, but because I mentioned them, for example, subcutaneous fluids, that is where you insert a needle into your fat and you let saline going to the fat. Now that can be a little bit painful, so that isn't something that a consultant would suggest right off the bat to you. But because I suggested it to them, they thought, right, okay, yeah, maybe this is something this girl can take on. She's obviously done her research, so it shouldn't be like that, but it is. So I think looking into advocacy services, if perhaps you aren't confident to do this yourself, is a really essential thing. And PALS is a great thing, patient advice and liaison service. Every hospital trust has one, and essentially they will signpost you to resources during your use of their hospital, and if you had any complaints or concerns or compliments even about the department or the services that you're using, they are a fab team that actually wield a lot of power in hospitals. You would be surprised how much a quick email to PALS can achieve. But I'll do another video on that sometime, because it's little known, a lot of these things, and I think they'd help a lot of people. Thank you for watching. If you found it useful, please do like and subscribe, and I will see you sometime soon. Bye!